Hi Emily, thank you very much for joining me here today. So from losing your sight in childhood to coming out as transsexual to undergoing triple bypass, it's fair to say that you faced a fair few challenges in your lifetime. How do you manage to continue fighting these battles?
I think it's probably inbuilt resilience, but also the solidarity that I find around the country, talking to people, my family, my friends, the networks that enable us to grow and develop. And I think also going to universities like here in Warwick, talking about my personal story, can also be helpful to other people to understand, whilst there are a lot of fears that people face, that we can step through that fear and have a better life and be ourselves.
Absolutely, and on that note, obviously your career and standing for Parliament has led you to deal with many criticisms and sort of ignorant comments, such as that, the quite famous case, I guess, of Rod Liddle from The Sun, who asked how you knew you were the wrong gender if you couldn't see. So how do you deal with such criticisms and comments?
Well, personally, at the time, I dismissed the column that he wrote in The Sun. What I reacted to was the social media storm that was generated. People were generally upset and offended by it. Mm-hmm. And as a result, I felt I needed to stand up. So my initial reaction was to write a column in the Independent newspaper the following day, in which I asked him, point blankly, when he goes to bed at night and turns the lights out, how does he know he's a man? And of course he hasn't replied to that, simply because I fear he might be frightened of the dark. And basically, as a result of that, I challenged The Sun because of the widespread reaction from people. There was a petition of nearly 30,000 people seeking an apology. The Sun allowed me to write a column in their newspaper, and I basically, in that, called for independent press regulation. Probably the only person who's ever achieved that. And I supported a Transmedia Watch claim to the IPSO, the Press Complaints Organisation, and it was upheld. And The Sun were forced to apologise. The problem is that they then sought to victimise me, and they didn't give the correction the due prominence. And that's why I've got very involved with Hacked Off, the independent press campaign that is seeking to secure Leveson compliant media regulation. That's for a royal charter and for complaints to be treated fairly and by people who are not editors and owners and linked to the newspapers themselves, because that's what's happening at the moment. Mm-hmm. They are adjudicating on their own business, and that's wrong.
So I guess when they come at you, fight back even harder.
Yes,
as I have. Absolutely. And so you have talked sort of candidly before about your struggles with depression. What helped you get past this extremely difficult period in your life, and what advice can you offer others who might be going through a similar thing?
For me, it was thinking about leaving my children and what my death might mean for them, and feeling that I had to try even harder, dig deeper. And it was, for me, very much feeling that I was at the end of a road and I needed to find another route. And it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy at all. But it was that thought of people close to me, other people who depended on me, that I had to fight for them just as much as for me. And I guess that inner resilience, sadly, some people do take their own lives, cause themselves self-harm, reach out for drugs and alcohol, and that is very sad, and they feel lonely. So I would say to people, seek connections, network with people, get the help, and be honest with yourself as well as other people. And you can find a way through this. but there's no easy answers.
And you personally, during this period of time, did you seek sort of support either professionally or from friends?
Yes, I sought help from a counsellor. I also resolved my change from male to female in terms of gender. There were various things that I did in order to bring about change. The key thing for me was it wasn't tenable to live as I was in the past. And the only way that I could move on was being my authentic self.